Yo, what's up, you guys? Sorry for my absence. I meant to do a video yesterday, but I'm feeling like terrible right now, and my back has been hurting. So I'm sorry. I still could have put out a video, but it would have been terrible. I would have just been,
You guys, is a manga review.
yeah, it would have been like that. Don't ask any questions, but yeah. So now we're gonna go from Black Clover, chapter 192 to 193, and My Hero 216 to 217. Oh, my bad. Excuse me if I sniffle on the video. It's just, I'm sorry. So, in My Hero chapter 216, we all know what happened. Class 1A1. Basically, everybody's just like reflecting off of their loss and their W, and so people are surprised that Midoriya has a second quirk and everything like that. And basically, Azawa at the end of the chapter, Azawa tells Manuma to he's to report to Eri. If you guys don't know who Eri is, she's the girl that was being held captive during the raid for. She got taken, like the heroes took her away from overall. So yeah, she can amplify quirks and everything like that. And I forgot, it was like one other thing that she could do. She can amplify quirks and take quirks away from you. So it's pretty weird. And she was basically being experimented on to make these drugs and these weapons to take away the quirks of pro heroes, so the villains can stand up and fight against them. So that's basically the gist of everything. So they took her away, they rescued her, and now she's at custody of UA. So now going to 217 for My Hero Academia. It starts off with Bakugo and Midoriya fighting. They're basically practicing, and he's trying to make Midoriya bring out his new quirk, and nothing seems to work. And All Might just puts him at a halt and stops it, and just says basically like, it's just we just gotta take a break for tonight. It's just obviously it's not coming out. And Bakugo, he's just mad at everything. He's just telling Deku, like he was telling All Might that he has to, you know how in every other anime where the protagonist, he eventually gets his awakening abilities and stuff like that. His power up, his plot armor starts to show up. He gets his new ability in a time of need and desperation. So that's what he was trying to do to Deku, but obviously failed. So they called it a night. And then Deku reflects back. He does a little flashback to when they were talking in the the little talking spot, their original the OG room. Midoriya, Bakugo, and All Might are talking about One for All, and how it's connected to All for One. And All Might he doesn't have an idea at all about what's going on with Deku. He hasn't heard anything about the previous holders of One for All actually having their quirks manifested within someone who has actually One for All. And he's just confused by everything. And Bakugo, he's asking questions too. And yeah, everybody's just confused and what's happening, except for Deku. I mean, he's still confused, but he got a little bit more information than everybody, but he's explaining it to them. And basically Deku is being like, and then it goes back to Deku being ridiculed by Bakugo as usual, telling him that he needs to manifest his power and evolve and do better. And then he just walks off because he's like, there's no point in doing this since Deku's not going to bring it out. So that's tough. And then when they're outside, Deku looks at his hand, and he's just thinking about One for All. And All Might asks if he's all right, and Deku shows this image of Deku looking at his hand, and it says All for One's power. So basically, during the little meeting, Bakugo makes a comparison from One for All and All for One, since All for One created One for All, and he's just saying that the two powers are basically similar, or starting to become similar. And basically, I mean, yeah, because One for All is just being used for the good, and All for One is just being used for the evil. So yeah, and I cannot wait for Deku to get his all the quirks together. I cannot wait for him to master them. It's gonna take a while, but it's gonna be great. So then Deku, he's back in the house, and Class B is there too with A, and they're all reflecting on their battle and everything, and seeing how they could have done better, and everybody congratulating each other. And Todoroki walks up to Midoriya, and he asks him, like, even though he tells him, like, yo, you had a second quirk, and like, I guess is like feeling a little bad, and as if Midoriya was showing pity on him during their tournament, the little fight they had, and since he thinks that he had two quirks during that tournament, but he really didn't, and Midoriya just apologizing to him and telling him that it's just his quirk that is just evolving, because he told Todoroki to go all out during the fight, and he's just, you know what I'm trying to say. He's just thinking that Midoriya wasn't going all out and going with his word that he was saying to Todoroki in that fight. So yeah, it just makes him feel a little iffy about Midoriya. And then it goes to Bakugo talking in his head, saying for Todoroki to be so sharp about everything. He's pretty dense because he doesn't know that Midoriya, has One for All. He's just falling in and just tricking everybody. So I mean, you need to do what you got to do to keep the secret. But it actually puts inspiration and motivation in Todoroki, because he actually contacted his father about a new move called Flash Fire. So I can't wait to see that. That's going to be cool to see in a future fight in My Hero. Then it goes to a board meeting of Shisio. Damn, I forgot his name. I got his name confused with the bad guy from Rurouni Kenshin, because I've been playing Jump Force, and there will be Jump Force gameplay today in a live stream. I'll be doing a live stream at probably like 3 o'clock Eastern time. So yeah, be prepared for that. So now we go over to Aizawa, Eri, Manama, Midoriya, and Lemillion, all at one spot. And Manama actually copied her quirk, but he tells Midoriya and Aizawa and everyone that basically his quirk it doesn't work as well, because if it's on power accumulation, then it won't work. It won't have the same effect as the original that's using their own quirk. So that's why he couldn't use One for All. Thank God for that, because then Midoriya was just saying, like, thank God he couldn't, because he would have blew his limbs off. And I wouldn't be surprised, because his body is not prepared to hold One for All at all. And then Eri, she doubts herself, and she looks down upon herself, because she's saying that everyone's in trouble, and just her being there is just her fault for having everybody be in such a situation. And that's not necessarily true. So Midoriya cheers her up and tells her that they're both gonna master their quirks and get better, and it boosts her self-esteem. All right, so since we're done with that, now we're gonna move over to Black Clover. And Lord Jesus, this was amazing. I'm loving the Black Clover manga. It's probably my favorite manga out of the shonen as of right now, the new shonen. And Captain Fugulian, he fights his friend, who is also a Magic Knight captain, and yeah, they duke it out. And Vermilion is actually fighting Obuddy, Vito, Is it? I think it's Veto, and yeah, they're both going back and forth with each other, and Fugillian is actually fighting his friend, but all of his attacks are being negated because since his defense is just literally OP as hell just by himself, and now since he's somewhat reincarnated as an elf, it's been boosted, so really nothing works on him at all. And in a certain distance, yeah, in a certain distance, it does not work at all. You'll see what I mean in a second. So they're fighting it out. He's duking it out, and it's called vortex magic. He says he uses his own magic to deflect and disperse his opponent's spells. So that's pretty ridiculous and OP if you ask me. And Fugillian's mana skin is actually being like torn apart and ripped away, and it's actually, yes, dispersing, just being in the vicinity of Kaiser. So now it switches over to Veto versus Captain Vermilion, and they're both actually having fun. They both say that they haven't had this much fun in a fight, and especially Vermilion, and it flashes back to her actually fighting with Captain Fugillian, since they're brother and sister, and she's the oldest. And it goes back to show how many times they fought and how far they've came, and in their journey to get to this level. And it seems like she was always the one to want to fight and train, and eventually she just trained by herself. And Fugillian just made him want to become stronger. And one day, Fugillian and Vermilion, they had their own fight. He challenged her. He said, "Hey, you know what? Let me run the ones. I'm tired of it. Let's fight. I want to go all out." And so they did. And then they called that fight, it was just a terrifying fight, and they called that the Tuesday of Blood and Flames. And what a name for a fight. And I really can't wait to see this animated, because this actually looks pretty cool. And then he said, and she says to herself, back then that idiot was on fire. So she actually is just appreciating how strong he actually got to challenge her and be on par with her during that fight, because usually he was getting beat by her 24/7. So that's actually cool. And Captain Fugillian is actually thinking the same thing, and the same thing is going through their heads. And as they're doing that, they think of a way to defeat their opponents easily. Vermilion, she takes a punch for Veto so she can counterattack easily straight up in front of him, because actually just going blow for blow and doing all this other extra stuff was not going her way. So she actually took a hit to deal a hit right back to him tenfold, and it beats Veto. And then I'm sorry guys. Captain Fugillian, he uses reignition, and he turns off. He just completely just takes away all of his magic power to get up to a close proximity of Kaiser. And then he actually goes full out on power straight up in front of him. And it says it right here, he used the salamander as a decoy, erased his own magic, slipped through my vortex detection, and got in close with me. And it switches over to Veto and says, she used sheer willpower to last through my attack and loaded the magic she saved by doing so into her next attack. And it shows the next frame with both of their faces being prepared to do an attack, balling up their fist. And it says, as my sister's younger brother, as that idiot's bigger sister, or big sister, damn, my bad. I have to be strong. And this is actually a pretty good chapter. I love this chapter. It showed a lot of a little bit more backstory on the brother and sister of the Vermilion family. And it's actually pretty cool. This animated will be actually pretty cool. So now we're going to go on to the next chapter of Black Clover. we're doing good right now. Now, this chapter focuses more on Asta, Yuno, and Noelle. Because Noelle right now, she's having trouble dealing with her opponent. And it's Fana, actually. Surprisingly, it's Fana. So she's fighting Fana right now, and she's in her Valkyrie dress. That's what it's called, Valkyrie dress. It's actually a pretty cool thing. That's Noelle's probably in top 5 right now, because once she controls her magic, it's over. She's become more and more like her mother, like the others say, who have witnessed her mother in battle. And she actually uses her water creation magic for the sea dragon and actually tears Fana in half. But she like goes ballistic. She just acts like she's so sorry for what she did. I don't know why. Like, if she's the enemy, you supposed to go all out, no holds barred. But Fana actually comes back and just says like, "Wow, you tore my clothes off." Bet. So she uses her Phoenix Feathers robe, healing magic, and then Noelle is just surprised that she came back. And Fana just said, "Sorry, I'm tired of dying. Am I supposed to deal with this?" So that's just crazy. And it goes back over to Asta's situation with Mimosa, and he's slicing all of the creations that what's his name? That Real is making on his painting canvas, and Asta's having trouble to maneuver all around, and it's just a whole lot of work. I see it right now. There's just so many creations being made from the canvas, and Asta basically tells Mimosa to jump on his back to heal him while he's fighting, so then they can have a better chance of winning. After that, it goes over to Yuno, and everyone's having trouble against the elves who are fighting against them, but Yuno just blows them all away in one whole attack, and it just looks crazy because, oh my god, Yuno is so strong right now. He's powerful, all because of the elf reincarnation boost. But it's cool. But as he's saving them all, Charmy actually gives him some food to replenish his mana, and his stone, because she tells him where Asta is, and he's basically telling himself, "Asta, hold on, I'm coming," since they're rivals, and they're basically, well, I'm not gonna say it, but I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's some theories out there, just know that, and they're just doing their own thing. And his stone starts to flash, and it seems like it's the last stone that and oh yeah, there's a light coming to his stone, and everybody's just asking like, where's that light coming from? And it seems like his stone is possibly, well, most likely, the last stone that needs to be used to reincarnate all of the elves who are taking over the Magic Knights and captains. So, and it shows a pin of Nero just sitting there. So, I don't know who Nero is, but just a small theory. Not even a spoiler. But if you don't want to hear this, you can go ahead and skip like 30 seconds ahead of the video. But Nero, there's a theory that Nero is actually the father of Asta and Yuno. And yeah, and the father is actually, oh yeah, if this is 30 seconds right here, go ahead and go another probably like 20 seconds. The father is actually the OG Magic Emperor, the most powerful. Yeah, that's crazy. So we're going over here, and Yuno is actually went into the dark castle, that the dark fortress that everyone is trying to get to Lich. And Charmy is by herself in Asta's territory, and she's looking around, just seeing all the crazy stuff that's going on. And there's monsters with one eye and 3-headed giant monsters conjoined. It's just crazy. The animation on this is probably going to be pretty cool. And she's looking at Asta from his back, and Mimosa on top of his back, healing him, and looking at Asta take over. and destroying all of these creatures. In the last 2 panels, Charmy says it's hell, la. You know how she says la all the time. And Asa looks back and he says, Miss Charmy? So yeah, these 2 chapters were actually, it was pretty good, and I liked them a lot, especially the previous chapter for Black Clover, 192. It was a really cool chapter, seeing the Vermilion family go in on some somewhat reincarnated elves, and I want to see more of them actually, especially Captain Vermilion. She's actually probably she's in my top 5 as well of just amazing characters to see. But I hope you guys like this video. The next video will be Jump Force gameplay, and it will be uploaded in actually a little bit because I'm almost done with it, but probably within an hour or 2. But yeah, hope you guys like this video. Share this video, like, comment, do whatever you want. I mean, it's cool. I just like putting out these videos. And yeah, see you guys on the next video. Oh shit on me.
I got one guy.
Yeah, he's in there.
You got him, Mitchell?
Yeah. He's definitely in there.
2 squads left.
He's hurt.
Give my shield a
Grenade
reach
out.
out.
Shielding up.
I need something there.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Let's go.
Get fucked on these kids.
So looking for